Hi, welcome to Maggie Chats Books. Today I'm going to do my nonfiction November wrap-up as well as my last half November wrap-up. Nonfiction November was started by Jenna and Olive, and I'll link their channels below. They gave us 4 challenges, the first one being to read a book about substance. So the book I chose was Chasing Space by Leland Melvin. This is a story of the astronaut. He has taken 2 trips on the space shuttle to the space station. His life has been one that he had challenges, and he turned those into great opportunities for himself. This is the young reader's version. I found it very, very good. A lot of lessons for kids in here as well as adults. He wanted to be a tennis star. He wanted to be the next Arthur Ashe. He was very good at sports. Eventually started playing football and was given a scholarship to go to college to play football. He also got an engineering degree. And then he was recruited by the Detroit Lions, cut from that team, recruited by the Dallas Cowboys, was cut from that team, and then decided to become an astronaut. So he's led an amazing life, really amazing story. He just seems really fascinating. A lot of great lessons in here. This is the young reader's version. I thought it was really good adult-wise. I'm not sure how much it's different from the adult version of the book, but a great book. Enjoyed that one. I gave this one 4 stars. The next challenge was to read a book about substance, and I read Hunger by Roxane. This has been discussed quite a bit on BookTube. It's an awesome book. She's gone through quite a bit. What she talks about is how she feels about her body due to a trauma in early childhood. She discussed about being a victim or being a survivor. I just thought this was an amazing book, totally honest. I gave this one 4 stars. The next challenge was to read a book about love, and I read Sisters First by Jenna Bush Hager and Barbara Pierce Bush. This is a story just about being sisters. They are the daughters of a former president and the granddaughters of a former president. They talk about their growing up years and how having each other was important to them to make it in life. This was a great book. I enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. I may take that down to 3.5. I'm not sure after thinking about it for a while, but it is a good book. I do recommend this one. And the last challenge was read a book about home. I didn't intend for this to be my home book, but I chose it anyway, and this was Chernobyl Prayer. This is about Chernobyl and the impact of the people, which is something that we usually don't get in documentaries or anything. It is a very difficult read. There are stories where you just read them and you have to put the book aside. I think it took me 5 or so days to even read this book because there's so many traumatic things, and you cannot believe what people went through and how they were lied to and how their concept of home made them want to stay even though it might have been dangerous, but they didn't even know it was dangerous. It's just a really good book. I highly recommend this one. This one is a 4 star for me. So that's all with Nonfiction November. I did read some other books this month. The first one was a NetGalley copy of Artemis by Andy Weir. I did a 2-minute review on that. I'll link that below. I had high hopes for this book. Unfortunately, I thought The Martian that he wrote a couple of years ago was a 5-star book. I love that book. So I had high hopes for Artemis. When it started out, he built a world on the moon that was absolutely amazing. But the plot and the characters just lost it for me, and I gave that book a 2-star review. I will link the review I gave to it if you want to know more. Not much more other than the characters were totally unbelievable, and the plot could have been taking place anywhere. So didn't really care for that book at all. The next book I read is another nonfiction book, and it was one I actually listened to. It's by Laura Graham, and this is Talking as Fast as I Can. Laura Graham is the lead actress in the Gilmore Girls series. She is an actress that's also been in movies and everything. She discussed her career. She pretty much, I think, says from before Gilmore Girls to just after Gilmore Girls is where this one takes place. She's very candid. She reads the book herself, so that was very nice to have that. The first chapter was a little weird because she does this kind of comedy routine on diet and dieting advice, which I felt kind of was out of place. But overall, I liked the book. I was sewing while I listened to it, so it was a great thing to listen to for passing the time and having something to do besides just sew. I did enjoy this book. I haven't really decided what I'm going to rate it, so I'm going to say 3.5 at this point. It was interesting to listen to. It's only 6 hours, so I thought it was worth the time. The next book I read was Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng. This book deals with two families basically. One is very well off. They've lived in Shaker Heights most of their life, which is a planned community. They have kind of everything going for them. There's a family of they have 4 children, 2 boys and 2 girls. One girl is considered like the black sheep of the family. Then it also focuses on another family, which is just a mother and daughter group who are pretty much poor, if you will, and they have had a life of traveling around and things like that. It deals a lot with what people's concept of motherhood is. She also talks about communication in here and the lack of communication and how that can really destroy relationships. The story was interesting and it really held my attention. It's a very short read. To me, though, it was not quite everything I wanted it to be, if that makes sense. I gave this 3 stars. I think it's a good book. I do recommend people read it, though it's a I like it book, but I didn't love it book. But I liked her discussions on motherhood and the communication or lack of communication discussion. So thought this one was probably a 3-star. And the last book I read was Wangs Chemistry. This book is about a 26-year-old woman who is going for a PhD in chemistry. She is dating a very nice man who has asked her to marry him. And her past is discussed quite a bit, where she came to America from China when she was about 6 years old. Her mother didn't want to make the change. Her father did. They both are very career-oriented. Her mother has, I think, some mental issues. She's had high standards set for her whole life. And she pretty much goes through a nervous breakdown. She's also dealing with depression. So you hear about that throughout the book, and she narrates it herself, the character. It's interesting. I liked reading it. It went really, really fast. Again, I liked it, but I didn't love it. I would give this one 3 stars. If you like to read about people dealing with mental issues, I thought it was good in that respect. Although I didn't get anything closure-wise from it, and I didn't feel like I really knew the character that well. So for me, this was a 3-star. So that's the books that I read in November and my nonfiction wrap-up. Please let me know if you've read any of these books and what you thought of them. That's all for now. I'll talk to you later. Goodbye.